In this video, we're gonna go through our top 4 pick for mushrooms that have the most benefit and impact in a cancer fighting journey. As always, talk with your doctor before making any changes to your diet or supplementation plan, particularly if you're actively fighting cancer and your body is going through a number of different very impactful treatments. Particularly what we're discussing today could have some hormonal changes that can definitely impact different cancer types and different cancer treatments, chemos and radiations in different ways. So you always want to discuss with your doctor. This is not medical advice. All right, with that, let's talk about the first cancer fighting mushroom, and that is turkey tail, also known as Coriolis. Turkey tail has a couple different compounds called polysaccharides. There's two, there's PSK, polysaccharide K, and PSP. They were both shown in studies to improve immune function in patients with certain cancers when used alongside chemotherapy. So this was an interesting study that showed with chemotherapy, so they had a control group that was just chemotherapy, and then a control group that was chemotherapy plus turkey tail supplementation, and they saw increases in both survival and in quality of life, particularly when going through the chemotherapy, in the people who were taking the turkey tail. So that's really beneficial, because in the natural realm, what we really like to focus on is the natural things that are well studied to show a benefit in the short term when going through things like chemotherapy and radiation, and that have at least suggested evidence of a cancer fighting benefit as well. So that's a niche that if we can find those things and focus on those first, we're setting ourselves up with a good foundation to work from. And so turkey tail is absolutely one of those. Okay, before we move on to the next one, here's an interesting thing I want to read to you about a specific study in turkey tail. So there was a 9% absolute reduction in 5-year mortality in those that were taking turkey tail, resulting in 1 additional patient alive for every 11 patients treated. In patients with breast cancer, gastric cancer, or colorectal cancer treated with chemotherapy, the effects of the combination of turkey tail preparation on the overall 5-year survival rate was more evident. Okay, so that is huge, particularly as it relates to breast cancer, gastric cancer, and colorectal cancer, but studies are still ongoing in many other cancers. Those are just the ones studied at the time. So that is why I say supplements and diet and lifestyle changes are not ethereal concepts that may benefit. There are studies that show the tangible benefit of some of these things. All right, let's talk about mushroom number 2. This is the Reishi mushroom. In Eastern medicine, this has often been referred to as the mushroom of immortality. In a study that evaluated mice that had inflammatory breast cancer grafted onto them, this is how they often do animal studies, researchers discovered that reishi mushrooms reduced protein synthesis and tumor growth after 13 weeks. So boom, that's huge. That was breast cancer in mice. That is really interesting. That doesn't mean that that's going to translate to humans. That doesn't, prove anything, but it is intriguing research that's been done. Chemo and radiation patients are known to have improved symptoms when reishi mushrooms are included in their plan. So, for example, the reishi mushroom can help combat negative chemo side effects, such as kidney damage and nausea. So those are things to think about. Again, as you're going through your cancer fighting plan, these are valuable tools that could be added to your toolbox. So one last thing about reishi mushrooms, and I'm going to read this here. Lab studies suggest that the existence of something called beta-glucans may help stop the growth and spread of cancer cells. When animals were fed beta-glucans, some cells of their immune system became more active. So again, we are in the early stages of research, but when it works in animals, it suggests it could work in humans. That is not a promise. Animals are very different, depending on the animal for sure, are very different than humans, and many times the research doesn't carry over as effectively or efficiently, but it is suggestive of something you could consider with your doctor for your plan, because if there are no downsides and side effects, this is essentially a dietary supplementation that may have benefit across a number of different areas. Even if you get some of those benefits but not the others, in theory, you're still better off. And so that's the approach and the mentality we took when looking at these types of things. All right, the third mushroom that we're talking about is Cordyceps. And this is a weird one because I almost hesitate to call it a mushroom. It's a fungus that grows on a specific type of caterpillar. And so it's been used for over 2,000 years throughout China and Asia as part of treatments for various things, including cancers. But more recent research has shown some interesting things. So first, it is known to enhance the immune system and to slow tumor growth of certain cancers. So again, this is the theme that we're finding in these different types of mushrooms. Research from the Journal of Anti-Cancer Research in 2010 found that Cordyceps could reduce tumor invasiveness in the melanoma cells of mice. So again, an animal study that showed the use of these mushrooms has a beneficial impact on tumor invasiveness in this animal study. You'll typically find Cordyceps just in supplementation form or herbal preparation. Often the mushroom drinks that we talk about here, I'm drinking one right now, will have Cordyceps in it as well, but typically it would be like in a pill form. You can also get it in tea or soup form if you like to sip. That's often a traditional way of consuming Cordyceps. One last note about Cordyceps is they've also been shown to protect the liver and kidneys from different toxic side effects of chemotherapy. That's a little bit more hazy, and again, you always want to discuss with the doctor. I'm just going to hit that every statement I make, because it is really important that not be a promise that you feel is foundational, but something that's worth looking into for your specific type of chemo and specific type of cancer. All right, the fourth and final top mushroom that we have on our list for cancer fighters is the Chaga mushroom. So the Chaga mushroom is known for its anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antioxidant, and anti-tumor properties that are essential for cancer treatment and prevention. So many studies have documented Chaga the Chaga mushroom for its ability to fight liver, breast, uterine, and gastric cancers. So those are the cancers that have been most studied alongside Chaga mushroom. Some of the mushroom's anti-tumor properties include the betalainic acid precursor, betalin. Okay, this is the science, but it's important. Betalin, which basically has powerful antiretroviral and anti-inflammatory properties. Remember, cancer causes inflammation, and inflammation lowers the effectiveness of our immune system and our immune response. And so things that we introduce to our diet that lower inflammation are going to allow our immune system to operate at a higher level. So Chaga mushroom can actually just be found in the forest, but most people get it in supplement form. So another point about the Chaga mushroom is it's been found to reduce fatigue and inflammation and increase mental sharpness. So Chaga is one of those that you'll find in a lot of the drinking mushroom, like Sigmatic has a brand. I've got the box here. Sigmatic here. Get that to focus. This one has Cordyceps in it. There's others that have Chaga or lion's mane or turkey tail. Mudwater is another one that we drink all the time. This one's got lion's mane, Cordyceps, Chaga, and Reishi. So 3 of the 4 that we have here is in this with cinnamon and turmeric and cocoa, and it's just really good, like coffee alternative. So those are all ways to get these mushrooms. All right, so that is our top 4 mushrooms for fighting cancer. or at least for adding to your cancer fighting journey. Leave a comment below if you have other topics or questions relating to mushrooms that we can talk about. Otherwise, be blessed, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.